guys, welcome to Mike and Cheese. I'm your host, TQ, and today we have Mikehews with us. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. I'm doing good. How's everything going with all this coronavirus going on?
Probably just like everybody else.
Just trying to make it through.
Exactly.
That's good. I'm glad. So you got your mac and cheese?
I do.
You do? You started with your mac and cheese? It's crazy.
Right.
Hold on real quick. I'm back. All right, so tell me, what kind of mac and cheese did you make? Like, what type? Have anything special?
So I didn't make it, but it is very special.
It is?
This is Mama J's.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Richmond's own Mama J's. Right.
Yes, they have one of the best types of mac and cheese I've ever tasted.
Yes.
So good.
For sure.
I'm jealous.
I kind of went my way. Yeah.
So I just made some mac and cheese too. Nothing special. It's just a little regular mac and cheese with some Italian season, and then I put a little bit of white sharp cheddar cheese on there. It's really different because it's the white. Usually we use to the yellow. So
exactly.
It's good with a little bit of breadcrumbs. You can see it.
Okay. That's fancy.
I mean, I try. All right, let me get a bite. Oh, that's good. Probably not gonna be better than your Mama J's.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with that.
It is. All right, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Let's get into some questions. All right. So where are you from, Mike?
I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
So you're from Richmond.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Richmond. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So what started you getting into music? Like, around how old were you when you started getting into music?
Let's see. I started writing probably around 12. Around 12, I started to actually attempt to write a rap, I guess you can say.
Right.
I started around 12 to try to write something that resembles a rap.
Right.
But it wasn't music or anything like that. It was just a rap. I saw some on TV, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a Mad TV episode. I don't know if you remember Mad TV. Mad TV used to be like SNL.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, I remember Mad. Yep.
Yeah. And I think when I was 12, I seen it on TV, and they did some kind of sketch where they were like rapping, but it was a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to try that. So I started writing. I tried to write based on that. And that was like 12, but actual music, I started that at like 14, 15.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. And then I guess slowly as you got older, you started like, all right, I want to record some of this. I want to see how I sound. Like, I want to start playing around with it more,
Exactly. I think it's just like I think I'm just gonna go out on a limb. I might be wrong, but I feel like most artists, when you transition from just writing to actually recording, it's kind of like it's a magical feeling to actually hear yourself record, like hear your voice and stuff like that, and then it makes you just want to keep going even more and more.
It does.
And I think that's what happened with me. I bought a little like $29 mic, plugged it up to the computer, and then started recording myself. And when I started hearing myself, that just kicked something else off. And then it's been on like that ever since.
That's so cool. So when you were record, did you ever like critique yourself, like when you heard yourself back and like play it back, and like, did you ever be like, oh, I don't like the way I sound? Or when you first heard yourself on like recording, were you like, damn, that sound, I like the way that sound?
So I never had a problem with my sound. I had a problem with my content.
Oh.
Even back then, because of course, most rappers, most people who do rap, when you first start off, like, or even if you just wanted to try to rap or something like that, you don't know what to talk about because
Right.
it's so important. Rapping, the words are so much more important because it's no melody to I mean, these days it's different, but I'm just talking straight up, just rapping, just straight rapping.
Mm-hmm.
It's no melody to kind of distract you from what you're saying.
Right.
So your words are very important. So it's almost like speaking. So if you're not saying anything intelligible, then it just doesn't make sense. So it's hard for you to even get started like that.
Right.
So in the beginning, it was that sort of thing going on. It's like, all right, I can record myself, but what should I say? I don't know what to say on here. Now that I'm hearing myself, this is different. When I was writing it and just reading it and all that, that's one thing. But now that I'm recording, it's like, oh, now I'm hearing myself back. Like, what can I say to make it sound good? And that, from a sound perspective of that part, that's the part that I struggled with at the beginning.
Right. Right. And that's interesting. That's cool. I know when. So sometimes I'll sing, right? I'll sing and I'll be just playing around. And then there's times where I'm like, I want to sing, but I want to hear myself on recording. Like, I want to hear playback. And I just know, like, when I do it, I feel so dumb. I'll be like the most nervous you could ever be because I don't ever record myself. When I sing, I'm in the shower, I'm in the car, I'm in the house. Like, I'm not in front of people as much. And if I am in front of people, I'm playing around usually. But when I remember when I first recorded myself, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And nobody was around. And I was still so nervous. And I like hit record. I was like, and I did it. And I was doing it and I played it back and I was like, ew, that's how I sound. So that's why I asked you that, because I know sometimes some people are like, I wonder how I sound. And I was like, oh Lord, I can't believe I sound like that. To me, I don't sound like that when I'm talking and I hear myself. You hear it record, you hear it play back.
I think it was a scientific thing that I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a scientific thing where nobody actually knows how they sound to themselves. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the thing. That's what happens when you start recording. You finally get to hear your own voice back to you, because the normal person never, unless you get into a setting where you're being recorded either on film or on music or something like that, you never actually get to hear your own voice. So it is kind of like a shock to the system when you first start recording and you hear yourself. And then it's like, most people immediately don't like the way they sound because they're not used to it. That's not how they sound to themselves. So it automatically sounds wrong to them.
It sounds wrong, yeah. And then you find yourself trying to fix it. Well, at least I know I do. I find myself like critiquing. I'm like, ew, that sounds wrong. Let me fix it. Let me sound a little bit different. And then like trying to do it over. So that's funny. That's funny. So let me ask you, when you write, do you ever write songs for other artists, like locally, or you're working with? Do you ever write songs for other people?
I haven't. That's been something that I actually wanted to get into, honestly.
Cool.
Because I mean, I don't know if we're gonna like get into this, like the industry stuff, like, and my thoughts about that later or anything. But like in general, if I were to do any kind of like professional music where I would get paid from it, I would honestly rather write than to like be the actual person out there performing. I know that it sounds crazy, but that's actually true. It's because I put more into that than anything else. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I feel like the writing part of it is just that's a sacred part to me. And I can do that. Like if somebody else didn't want to do that, if they didn't want to focus on doing that, they just wanted to perform it, I would be perfectly fine with that.
That's super cool. I think that's so cool that you'd rather write for other people. Like that would be something cool to do instead of. So when you do write, do you ever be like, I'm writing this, but I want to hear somebody else sing it, or I want to hear somebody else rap it? Do you ever think that when you write, or you're like, no, I want to sing and sing or rap my own content, you know?
Yeah, I would say as of right now, I've never had that feeling where I wanted to hear somebody else do it, and it's simply because my music is so personal. Mm-hmm. Like everything I write, everything I record is a personal thing to me. So of course, once I write it, then I'm like, all right, now I need to say it. Like,
right, you need to say it.
If I wouldn't have a problem if I went into it with the mindset that this is for somebody else. Like I wouldn't mind sitting down, talking to somebody, learning about them, learning about what direction they're trying to take something, and then writing and then having them do it. But for like if I were to just give somebody something that I wrote for them to say it, I don't know how that would feel. It would probably be a weird feeling to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense because it's your stuff. It's your secret stuff. So you like, I need to get it out because I know how I want to get it out. You know.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So what do you find yourself liking better, like writing and working with artists, or when you're writing and working by yourself or recording? Because I know sometimes when you get in the studio, you're with people all the time. But then, do you like it better when it's just yourself?
So it's like a complicated feeling around that because I actually do like working with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I love collaborating with other artists. However, at the same time, if you notice, the vast majority of my music is no features on it.
I noticed. I have.
And it's not necessary. And again, it's not because I don't want to work with other people. It's a couple different things. First of all, I told you how I started recording myself.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the mic. I went and bought the mic. I plugged up that mic. I found out how to record myself. Mm-hmm. You know, I found out how to make my own beats and all that stuff like that. I did all of that myself. Mm-hmm. And since I'm so used to everything being myself, my mindset doesn't necessarily, it naturally doesn't, like when I'm thinking about how to do a song or planning out a project or something like that, it's hard for me to get into the mindset of like, oh, such and such, I can get them to jump on this like that. It's like I don't think in that way like that, like in a collaborative type of mindset, because again, everything is so personal to me. Mm-hmm. It's just me. Music is literally a diary for me. So it's the same thing as if you had a diary that you write in every day, and then someone say, well, would you mind if somebody else wrote in the diary? I mean, yeah. I mean, you could if you wanted to. I don't know how to like make it where I can write it where it's like, all right, and then in the next paragraph is going to be such. I don't, it's just that don't come natural to me. Although I love working with artists, it's so much easier for me to work by myself. It's so much like quicker. Like you reach out, some artists you reach out to, and it's harder to get stuff from them at the same time. Sometimes I'm in the mode right there. That's the other thing. I'm not always in the music mode at that moment. So if I get the moment, I'm in it right now. I'm ready I'm doing it. It's hard for me to reach out, wait, and see. It's just a bunch of stuff that's involved when you collaborate with people. But at the same time, I really do like to collaborate. I know it sounds like I don't, but I promise you, I really do.
No, that makes sense. And I love that analogy you use, like the diary analogy. That makes sense because I don't have a diary, but I do have a few journals, and I had so many journals, but I've gotten it as gifts from people, and I'm still on my first one, and I still have pages. But I like that you brought that up because when you are writing in a journal or a diary, it's yours. Like that's your words. That's how it sounds for you. It's gonna be weird if somebody start writing your journal and then your page. It doesn't sound like you. It doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
Exactly.
So that's kind of cool. I like that analogy you use. That's cool. And like you said, it does make a lot of sense. When you're working by yourself, you tend to, depending on the person, and you tend to get stuff done. Like when you're ready to do something, you can do it. You don't have to wait for somebody, or you don't have to reach out and be like, hey, I want to do this, so I want to do that. And it's just so much quicker. You don't have to worry about the other things that you have to worry about when you bring someone else into when you're trying to work, so that's pretty cool. Yep. That's cool. So knowing the little bit that I do know about you, and you do come off a little like introvert, a little like keep to yourself, cool, calm, collect, quiet sometimes. How do you like to necessarily advertise your music the most?
Yeah, it's not even a come off thing. I'm introverted, 100% introverted. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you heard of like Myers-Briggs and stuff like that type of personality test. You go look up INTP. I'll let you do that. If you look up that and you just read everything about that, that is 100% me. If you read that, I am a complete introvert. Sometimes it comes off as like an antisocial type thing, and it's not really that. It's not that it's like all of these concepts, they all come back to the same exact thing, whether it's school, music, or just being in a social setting. It's not that I don't enjoy being around people and stuff like that. It's just that I'm introverted. I'm always thinking. I'm thinking about, if I'm somewhere, I'm thinking about why I'm here and what I'm doing and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily thinking about everybody else at that time. But yeah, I am very introverted, and because of that, that does hinder me when it comes to like advertisements and stuff like that, and trying to promote myself and things like that. Because again, back to the concept of the whole diary thing and my music being personal, I obviously, if you look at the following that I have right now,
and
how long I've had this same amount of followings on whatever social platform you want to say. If you think about how long the years that it's been like that, I obviously am doing this for a different reason that doesn't have to do with a following or people, fame. That's obviously I'm not doing it for that. Like I haven't, there's no money, there's no fame, there's nothing that can get me what I want out of music more than what I'm doing right now, which is the whole diary aspect of it. I literally have things that I think about all the time, and then sometimes I just decide to write it down, and sometimes I decide to record that. That is literally all it is. Everything else that you ever seen where it seemed like I did more than that, whether I went to perform or something like that, it wasn't me that decided to do that. That was somebody else who pushed me to do it, and it turned out to be a good thing. So I do have people around me who actually do push me to do more because they feel they feel like that music should be exposed more.
Right.
And I'm grateful for people like that, because that doesn't come natural to me. I have plenty songs that I wrote that I've never put out before. Like I don't feel like it's not wasted work to me. It's just I wanted to record it, see how it sounds. I got and even more stuff that I wrote that I never recorded. It's just, it's a personal thing to me, but I will say that it does hinder the promotion aspect of it, for sure.
But I do like that, because you don't hear too many people like you as an artist that write or sing or dance or whatever, and they promote themselves. Their main goal sometimes, I feel like, is trying to become famous or trying to get that fame, when you're just doing what you love to do. And I love that, because the passion behind it is so much different than when you're doing it for other things. So I like that. That's what you think. Thank you. So name, I want you to name 2 artists you like to work with ever. But for one, I want you to name an artist that would be a dream to work with. And then I want you to name an artist that would be like so much more like a challenge to work with, that would challenge you, So like a dream artist and then a challenge artist.
Let's see. A dream artist would probably be Jadakiss. I would say Jadakiss.
Jadakiss,
yeah, because that's my favorite rapper. So it would just be a dream just to work with him, because I grew up off of his music. Like I got a lot of influences from Jadakiss, a lot of the introspective stuff, of course the lyricism and stuff like that, and not only the music. And this is another thing when it comes to like artists that I like, is not, I don't just like them for the music. I get invested in them as a person. I think that's probably what drives me to be the way that I am, because I'm not trying to sell an image. Like people, if you listen to my music, then you might get invested in me as a person, because it is me. Like it's the same thing, and that's why I like Jadakiss. I actually like him because, now of course his music is phenomenal, but I like him because he's respected. He's not even the highest selling person. You're not going to see him on billboards, not around this time. You're not going to see him on billboards or anything like that. But if you reach out to any artist out here, all of your favorite artist and you mention his name, people know who he is.
Right.
And I like that. That's exactly, I love that aspect. I base myself off of that. I like the fact that everybody, I'm not the most famous person or anything like that, but for the people who know me, when you mention my name, then it's like, oh yeah, I know. And I would love to work with Jadakiss for that reason.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Now
like
for a challenge, I mean, I said this in previous interviews, but like Eminem, I guess.
Eminem? You think he'll challenge you?
Well, I said in the other interview, I mean, I actually said that I wouldn't want to work with him. I don't really want that challenge. Like, I really hold him so far up there that I don't really. He's literally the only person in the world that I don't really know. I wouldn't really feel too comfortable getting on the song with him. That's literally the only person in the whole world that I feel like that.
Right. But why wouldn't you want to get on the song with him though?
I think it's because it's like he's incredible.
Yeah.
You just never know what's gonna happen, like what he's gonna say, and he's the top when it comes to lyricism. He is literally the top when it comes to delivery, lyricism. All of that is the top, and he's not just talking about just random stuff. He's actually talking about. Which I like about that him. Would be, that would be very, very intimidating to me for sure. More than a lot of other people. Some people might say Jay-Z or Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole or something. None of those people would really be intimidating to me, but Eminem would be, because I honestly don't know if I can do what he can do. That's the only person.
Right. Like that about. Right, and he seems like the type that you'd be like, oh my goodness, he's getting me out of my box, and he'll be probably wouldn't even plan most of the things. He'll just come from the top and be like, let's do this.
Exactly.
Cool. Exactly. So Mike, this is my last question. Well, it's not really this is a question. So on your website, Mikehews.com. You got 4 albums, and I'm gonna do this in order of you bringing them out, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you have After These Messages, you have Solitaire, you have Uncommon Courtesy, and you have Langston, and then you have that Freestyle. Now, is the Freestyle an actual album, or is Freestyles just an album of it's just a bunch of songs that you freestyled on? I kind of got confused.
Yeah, that's what it was. So that last part, it's just a bunch of collection of songs that I did. That's like I mentioned earlier when I say sometimes I just record some, and sometimes I just put that out. That's what that is. It wasn't a project or anything. So yeah, that whole freestyle section that's exactly what that is.
Okay, cool. I was like, I wonder if it's just called Freestyles or it's a bunch of just freestyles he did. Like he just recorded.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I did listen to a little bit of Langston. That's the latest project.
That's the latest, exactly.
The latest album. I like it. I like a few songs in there. Do you what's your favorite out of all of those? Out of the 4, at least the 4. Not the freestyle. I'm trying to think.
It's different things that I like about them. They all have their different like characteristics about them. I like Solitaire because it is. I think I kind of went like really in depth into my mind on Solitaire. I think I really tried to like express those feelings on that project, and I think I kind of gravitate to that project more. It was a project that I did not giving myself any rules at all when I did that. So I just did exactly what was on my mind. That's what those songs were on there. Now, because of that, I feel like that project is like a little dark to me. It just feels, it has more of a darker vibe to it. And I wasn't aiming for that. That was just like the natural without any rules. If I just record stuff, that's just what it is.
Right. Were you going through anything during that to make you feel like it came off dark, or it literally just came off like that?
It really,
like
I think it just, yeah, I think it just came off like that. I wasn't necessarily going through anything at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like the whole collection just came off kind of dark to me. And I think the other thing that kind of makes it feel dark is the project before that was After These Messages, which is extremely the opposite way of that. That's extremely, like, that's probably the most extroverted project I've ever done by far. Like, is After These Messages. You listen to After These Messages and listen to Solitary, those are two separate people, you would think.
Okay.
And I think the next one after Solitary was Uncommon Courtesy, and that's where I tried to lighten it up, but still keep the same type of thing going, where I'm just going into my own thoughts about things, but I'm not going to go so dark. I'm not going to make the project so dark. I want to still have fun a little bit, but still be introspective at the same time.
Right.
So that's why I like Uncommon Courtesy. Langston was, I feel like Langston was what I want to say, a more mature project. That was me talking about myself now, what's going on with me now, as opposed to the other ones. I'm talking about some stuff in the past. I'm talking about just different things on my mind, how I feel. Langston was more so, it was almost like a celebration of where I am now in life. Every song is kind of around that type of thing. So, and that's why I like Langston a lot. But if I had to pick one, oh man, it's kind of hard between Uncommon Courtesy and Solitary. It would probably, I'll probably say Uncommon Courtesy.
Uncommon Courtesy.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
I heard a few on Langston. I haven't heard all, but a few. It does come off a little more mature than the others too. And of course, because it's the latest one, you're older, you're much younger in those, not super, super young, but you definitely was younger. So I could hear that come across that you more mature. So yeah. So I do like it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to a little bit of some of the Solitaire one. I'll have to listen to that one.
That's the other thing is when I'm talking about this, you ask me, which one is my favorite and stuff like that. I don't want that to take away from any of the other ones. Like the way that I try to make, at least for those projects that's on there, well, at least Solitary and Forward. For all of those projects, I tried to make them as timeless as possible. So I don't want to, if somebody never heard of me before, to be like, oh, well, that one is old. I want to hear what's your latest stuff. Like, I understand that's a natural thing to do, but I also want people to understand that those projects are still very relevant. They're not dated. You can listen to that stuff, and I tried to make it in a way where it sounded like I could have did it today. There's nothing really dated about it. The only reason I'm leaving, and even after these messages like that, but the only reason I'm leaving that one off is because that one was actually the whole project was just a cover of other people's beats. Okay. So when you do that, then automatically you kind of put yourself in the dated category because that stuff has a date on it. Those songs came out during that time, and it's going to feel dated a little bit at that point. But the lyrics are not, but the songs might be. But yeah, other than that, going forward, where I produced everything, that stuff is not dated. I don't want it to seem like one is worse than the other or anything like that. But yeah, just you asking me that question, I would say Uncommon Courtesy.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool, Mike.
My music like myself and play it at different levels. Turn down for what? I'm turned till it clip like I burned down the Dutch. Some sounds just stuck. The hater talk ain't around as much. I hear no evil, see no evil, speak none neither. I just wanna pick my beat and kick my feet.
So you got a little something to perform for us today? Okay.
So yeah, The Pursuit of Happiness. Life is all about the chase, keeping pace to find both place and peace of mind. In recent time, I've had some lows and some decent highs. That's to be expected. But in pursuit of happiness, I wonder less about how close I am and more about what I left behind. Was it my sanity? Granted, we can only carry so much baggage. I mean, I won't brag, but I packed pretty well for the trip. They say I can't get far without an education. You know, a baby bird can take off from the ground, but it's much easier to start with some elevation. Point taken. I'm on my way, running behind something that I can't define. It moves like the hands of time, so I'm chasing it around the clock, ready to pounce when I catch sight of it. Knowing this American pie wasn't made for people like me, and I got the nerve to want a bite of it. I guess I shouldn't assume. Why would I have a place in the room just because my people was in the kitchen? Forgive me for wishing, hoping I can taste what they made. A home-cooked meal in the home of the brave, but this house ain't no home for a slave. Amazing. Got me thinking about what I'm chasing. From time to time, I get the vibe that what I'm looking for really ain't all that far. Maybe somebody helping it to hide. But why? What they got to gain from me losing? With strangers, they moving and camouflage it as things that reside within my dreams, knowing I'd fall for something that's familiar. I build up possessions in a slim chance that there's happiness inside it. Behind this wheel of the ride that I drive to the clothes that I'm buying, I'm looking for sense of purpose. Something to say that my feet not hurting for nothing and what I'm working toward is worth it. How perfect. The time in that moment it was finally felt. Inside myself of all places. The last place I thought to look, the same place where I started this journey, and the same place I go to announce my progress. My objective is being accomplished. I found my goal down at the root. For what I'm chasing should never be captured, because what I'm after is the pursuit of happiness.
Good job, Mike. That was good. I love that. That was good. That was really good. Well, thank you for being with us today on Mike and Cheese, Mike. It was really a good time. And so we'll see everybody a little bit later next time on Mike and Cheese. Again, I'm your host, TQ. And if you want to hear some of Mike Hews's music, you can go to Mikehews.com. And that's that. We'll see you next time.